Jake Peterson sat in his chair and looked around the big room. The walls were made of crystal and light came through them in pretty colors. This was the Galactic Forum, where different alien races came to talk about problems and make deals. Jake was the human representative and he was getting tired of these meetings. Today was like every other day. The aliens were complaining about humans again. Ambassador Veltar from the blue-skinned Zephyrian race stood up. She had 4 arms and waved all of them around when she talked. Her voice sounded like music, but the words were not nice. "The humans keep taking things from space without asking," she said. "They dig up rocks and destroy everything. They don't care about our holy places." Jake felt his hands make fists. This was the same thing they said every time. The humans had followed all the rules. They had asked permission. They had checked for important places before they started digging. But the aliens always found something to complain about. Dr. Amy Rodriguez sat next to Jake. She was the smartest person Jake knew when it came to talking to aliens. But even she looked tired. Her face was red and the muscles in her neck were tight. This happened every meeting now. The other aliens in the room started making noises. Some clicked their tongues. Others made whistling sounds. Few buzzed like big bugs. They were all agreeing with Veltar. They always agreed with each other when they talked about humans. A big bug-like alien named Zeekzak stood up. His voice came through a machine because humans couldn't understand his real voice. "Humans always have excuses," the machine said. "They always have reasons for doing bad things." Jake stood up slowly. The room became quiet. All the aliens looked at him with their different kinds of eyes. Some had 2 eyes like humans. Others had more. A few had eyes that could see colors humans couldn't even imagine. "We followed your rules," Jake said. His voice was calm, but everyone could hear he was angry. "Those holy places you talk about were just empty space. No one had been there for 300 years. We looked for signs of important things. We found nothing." The aliens started making their noises again. They didn't want to hear what Jake was saying. They had already decided humans were wrong. Dr. Rodriguez stood up and picked up her papers. "We showed you proof," she said. "We did everything you asked us to do. We let you check our work. But every time we come here, you act like we're criminals." She looked around the room at all the alien faces. Some looked mean. Others looked happy that humans were in trouble. None of them looked like they cared about being fair. "Maybe we need to think about whether this place still helps anyone," she said. "Maybe these meetings are just a waste of time." The aliens didn't like hearing that. They started talking louder. Some stood up and pointed at the humans. Others hit their desks with their hands or tentacles or claws. But Jake and Amy just walked toward the door. They had heard enough. When it came time to vote, the same thing happened as always. 39 aliens voted against what the humans wanted. Only the humans voted for their own idea. 7 aliens didn't vote at all, but that didn't help. Jake and Amy walked back to their office in the human section of the station. The walls were painted with pictures of Earth and other human worlds. It felt good to see familiar things after sitting in that room full of aliens who hated them. "How many times have we done this?" Amy asked. She sat down in her chair and rubbed her head. "Too many," Jake said. "I'm tired of being polite to people who have already decided we're evil." Amy looked at the papers on her desk. They were reports from human colonies, requests for new mining rights, and plans for building new cities on empty planets. All normal things that other alien races did too. But when humans did them, suddenly they were crimes. "What if we just stopped coming?" she said quietly. Jake looked at her. He had been thinking the same thing, but hearing someone else say it made it seem real. "The president wouldn't like that," he said. "The president sent us here to make deals and keep peace," Amy said. "But there are no deals. And there's no peace. There's just a room full of aliens telling us we're wrong no matter what we do." Jake walked to the window and looked out at space. He could see ships from all the different alien races. They came here to trade and talk and make friends. But none of them wanted to be friends with humans. "They think they're better than us," he said. "They think humans are too young and too stupid to be part of their club." "Maybe they're right," Amy said. "Maybe we are too young for this, and what do you mean?" Amy stood up and came to the window. "Maybe we're trying too hard to fit in. Maybe we should focus on human things instead of trying to make aliens like us." They stood there for a long time, looking out at the alien ships and thinking about going home. The next day, Jake sent a message to Earth. It was short and simple. "Request permission to close embassy and return home. The forum is no longer serving human interests." The answer came back 3 days later. It was even shorter. Permission granted. Jake and Amy spent the next week packing up 30 years of human presence at the Galactic Forum. They put all the important papers in boxes. They took down the pictures of Earth. They shut down the computers that had been talking to human worlds every day. Other aliens came by to watch them pack. Some looked happy. Others looked confused. A few looked worried, but not many. "Where will humans go now?" asked Ambassador Veltar when she visited on the last day. "Home," Amy said. She didn't look up from her packing. "But who will speak for humans in the forum?" Amy stopped packing and looked at the blue-skinned alien. "Nobody, that's the point. You don't want us here, so we're leaving." Veltar's forearms moved nervously. "But there are still things to discuss. Trade agreements, border disputes, security matters." "You can discuss them with each other," Jake said. "I'm sure you'll figure it out." When they finished packing, Jake and Amy walked through the station one last time. They had spent so many years in these halls meeting with aliens, trying to build friendships, working to keep peace in the galaxy. Now it felt empty. Not because they were leaving, but because it had been empty for a long time. Empty of real friendship, empty of fairness, empty of hope. They got on their ship and left. Behind them, the Galactic Forum continued its meetings. But for the first time in 200 years, the human chairs were empty, and they would stay empty. 3 weeks passed since the humans left the forum. The big crystal room looked different now. Where Jake Peterson and Amy Rodriguez used to sit, there were just empty chairs. Some of the aliens seemed happy about this. Others weren't so sure. High Counselor Thekmon was one of the happy ones. He was made of living crystal and his body glowed when he was excited. Today he was glowing very bright. "Finally, we can get real work done," he said to the other delegates. "No more human complaints. No more human excuses. We can make the galaxy a better place." The other aliens made agreeing noises. They passed 3 new laws that day. All of them were about stopping the kind of mining and building that humans like to do. They felt very proud of themselves. But good feelings don't last forever. The first problem started in the Nexus sector. This was a part of space where many different races sent ships to trade. It was supposed to be safe because human patrol ships kept the pirates away. But now there were no human ships. The Dreknari horde saw their chance. These were mean aliens who liked to steal and fight. They had stayed away from the trade routes because human ships would chase them and beat them, but the humans were gone now. Captain Lisa Brooks got the first call for help. She was on a human warship called the Defiance. The call came from a cat-like alien named Captain Muthrin. "Please help us," Muthrin said through the translator. His voice sounded scared. "The pirates are attacking our ships. The forum said they would send help, but no help comes. Many of our people are dying." Lisa looked at her screen. She could see where the Dreknari ships were hiding. She could see the cat people's cargo ships trying to run away. Her ship had big guns and fast engines. She could stop the pirates easy, but her orders were clear. Humans were not supposed to get involved in forum business anymore. They were supposed to stay neutral and mind their own business. Lisa turned off the communication without saying anything back. She felt bad about it, but orders were orders. Back on Station Harmony, the forum was trying to figure out what to do about the pirates. They talked for 6 days. Some aliens wanted to send warships right away. Others wanted to have more meetings first. A few thought they should try to talk to the pirates instead of fighting them. While they talked, more ships got attacked. More people died. Lieutenant Danny Walsh was packing up the last of the human embassy. He had worked there for 30 years, ever since he was a young man. He knew every hallway, every office, every alien who worked on the station. Now other aliens were looking at the empty human offices and making plans. Some wanted to turn them into shops. Others wanted to make them into restaurants. The High Counselor wanted to use the biggest office for parties. Danny carried the last box of human stuff down the empty hallways. As he walked, he could hear the emergency meeting happening in the main chamber. Through the clear walls, he could see all the aliens arguing about what to do with the pirates. The cat people's representative was begging for help. The crystal aliens were talking about being careful. The bug people were suggesting they form a committee to study the problem. Danny didn't stop to listen. He had heard it all before. On his way to the ship dock, Danny met Ambassador Veltar in the hallway. She looked worried. "Danny, wait," she said with her musical voice. "Where are all the humans going? When will they come back?" Danny stopped and looked at her. He had known Veltar for 15 years. She had always been polite to him. even when she was saying mean things about humans in the meetings. "We're not coming back," he said. "But you have to," Veltar said. Her forearms moved around like she was nervous. "There are problems that need human help. The pirates, the trade disputes, the security patrols. You didn't want our help before," Danny said. "You wanted us to go away, so we went away. But we didn't mean forever," Veltar said. "We just wanted humans to follow the rules better." Danny laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. "We followed every rule you made. We did everything you asked, and you still voted against us every single time." He picked up his box and started walking again. "Danny, please," Veltar called after him. "People are dying out there. The forum's peacekeeping ships aren't strong enough. We need human warships." Danny stopped at the door to the ship dock. "Then you should have thought of that before you spent 30 years telling us we were the problem." He went through the door and got on his ship. Veltar stood in the empty hallway, looking at where the humans used to live and work. The first forum peacekeeping mission was a disaster. They sent 20 ships from different alien races to stop the Dreknari pirates. The alien ships were pretty and had good computers, but they weren't built for fighting. The pirates destroyed 17 of them in the first battle. The 3 ships that survived ran away as fast as they could. High Counselor Thekmon stood in front of the forum assembly. His crystal body was dim now, not bright like before. "We have lost many good people," he said. "The pirates have weapons we didn't expect. They fight differently than we thought." Ambassador Veltar stood up. She looked around at all the other aliens. "Maybe we should contact the humans," she said quietly. "Just to ask for advice." Many aliens made angry noises. They didn't want to admit they needed help from the race they had kicked out. "We don't need humans," said Zigzag the bug alien. "We can handle our own problems." But problems kept getting bigger. Trade routes that had been safe for hundreds of years became dangerous. Ships started traveling in big groups with guards, but even that didn't always work. Colonies on the edge of forum space sent messages asking for protection. But the forum didn't have enough ships, and the ships they had weren't strong enough. Meanwhile, in human space, things were changing. Without forum rules to follow, humans started building bigger ships and better weapons. They started researching things that the forum had said were too dangerous. Dr. Ryan Cooper worked in a lab on New Geneva, humanity's biggest space station. He was excited about his new projects. "Look at this," he said to his assistant, Dr. Helen Foster. "Without the forum's technology limits, we can make ships twice as fast and 3 times as strong as before." Helen looked at the plans on the computer screen. "Are we sure this is safe?" "The forum thought a lot of things were unsafe," Ryan said. "But they were just scared of competition. Now we can build what we really need." Back on Station Harmony, more bad news came every day. Pirates attacked a medical supply convoy. Rebels took over a mining colony. A trade dispute turned into a small war. The aliens who had been so happy about the empty human chairs weren't smiling anymore. They were starting to realize that humans had been doing more than just complaining in those meetings. They had been keeping the peace. Ambassador Veltar sat in her office looking at reports from across the galaxy. Crime was up, trade was down, fear was everywhere. She looked at the communication device on her desk. She could try to call the humans. She could ask them to come back. But her pride wouldn't let her do it. Not yet. Outside her window, she could see the empty docking bay where human ships used to park. It had been quiet for weeks now. The silence was becoming scary. 6 months had gone by since the humans left the forum. The galaxy was not the same place anymore. Pirates were everywhere now. The Void Reapers were the worst ones. They used to hide in dark corners of space, scared of human warships. Now they came out and attacked anyone they wanted. They even attacked diplomatic ships, which was supposed to be against all the rules. Dr. Ryan Cooper worked day and night in his laboratory on New Geneva Station. The station had grown bigger in just 6 months. New buildings reached up into space like metal fingers. Ships came and went all the time, but they weren't the kind of ships the forum had ever seen before. "The test results are amazing," Ryan told Director Helen Foster during their weekly meeting. "Without the forum's rules, we can research whatever we want. We're learning things we never thought possible." Helen looked at the numbers on her computer. "What about our defense projects?" "Project Prometheus is going better than we hoped," Ryan said. His voice was excited but also a little worried. "The new ship designs use technology that the forum said was too dangerous. If they thought our old ships were scary, wait until they see these." Helen nodded slowly. She sometimes wondered if they were moving too fast, but then she remembered how the aliens had treated them. Maybe moving fast was exactly what they needed to do. Back on Station Harmony, the Forum was falling apart. Every day brought new problems that they couldn't solve. Trade wars started between races that used to be friends. Border disputes turned into shooting matches. The emergency response fleet was almost gone, destroyed in battles they couldn't win. High Counselor Thekmon stood in front of the assembly again. His crystal body looked cracked and dull. We have lost another 17 ships in the Sigma Quadrant. The surviving crews say the pirates have new weapons that we don't understand. The chamber was quiet. Nobody made their usual clicking or whistling sounds. They were all scared. Ambassador Veltar shifted in her seat. She had been thinking about this for weeks, but now she finally said it out loud. Maybe we should talk to the humans, just to ask for advice. Many aliens made angry noises, but they were quieter than before. Some were starting to think the same thing. Zigzag the bug alien waved his arms. We don't need humans. We handled things before they came to space. Before they came to space, we were fighting each other all the time, said Elder Perlin of the Cat People. The humans helped us make peace. They helped us build the Forum. They also helped us stay safe, added another alien quietly. The argument went on for hours, but no decisions were made. The aliens were too proud to admit they had made a mistake. In human space, Captain Nora Williams stood on the bridge of her new ship. The HSS Vanguard was unlike anything that had ever been built before. Its black hull seemed to eat light instead of reflecting it. The weapons hummed with energy that made the air feel electric. Set course for the Kepler Nebula, she ordered her crew. Let's see what the research teams have been up to. The Kepler Nebula had become humanity's testing ground. It was far from alien space, and humans had put up signs that said no alien ships were allowed. Stories came from that area that sounded impossible. Whole star systems being changed overnight, new worlds built in months instead of centuries, weapons that could break planets apart. Most aliens thought the stories were lies, but some were starting to worry that they might be true. On Earth, President Laura Anderson gave a speech that would be remembered forever. She stood in front of the global assembly with the blue and green world spinning behind her. For too long we let others tell us how fast we could grow, she said. We accepted limits on what we could become because we wanted to get along with our neighbors. But getting along built on fear is not real peace. Her voice was calm but strong. We have not given up on peace, but we will not be held back by those who are afraid of what we might become. The speech was broadcast everywhere. Human colonies heard it. Alien listening posts heard it too. In the Forum chambers, delegates watched in silence as Anderson explained humanity's new plan of unlimited development. We will take our place in the galaxy, Anderson said, not as junior partners begging for permission, but as equals who decide our own path. When the speech ended, the alien delegates sat in worried silence. This didn't sound like the humans they remembered. This sounded like something new and dangerous. In the outer systems, human colony ships arrived at worlds that different alien races had claimed but never used. These weren't the careful, slow settlements from before. These were fast, organized operations backed by military ships that made the old human fleet look like toys. Commander Kevin. Morris looked down at a beautiful green world that the Draknari had put their flag on 300 years ago. They had never built anything there or sent anyone to live there, but they called it theirs. Begin atmospheric processing, Kevin ordered. Full terraforming protocol. We'll have cities running in 18 months. His second-in-command, Commander Beth Taylor, looked at the tactical display. Sir, Draknari patrol ships are coming toward us. Kevin smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. Let them come. They wanted us out of the Forum. Now they can see what that really means. The Draknari ships came closer. There were 5 of them, all painted with scary designs and armed with plasma cannons. They had always been bullies who picked fights with weaker races. Commander Beth watched her sensors as the alien ships got ready to attack. They're charging weapons, sir. Are our new systems ready? Kevin asked. Yes, sir. All systems green. Then show them what humans can do when we don't have to follow Forum rules. What happened next would be talked about across the galaxy for years to come. The human colony ship didn't run or call for help. It didn't even move. It just waited until the Draknari ships were close enough, and then something happened that broke every rule of space combat that anyone knew. The 5 Draknari ships simply stopped existing. Not destroyed by explosions or broken apart by weapons, they just weren't there anymore. Where 5 warships had been, there was only empty space and some strange particles that nobody could explain. Videos of the incident spread through the galaxy faster than light-speed communications. Alien races that had celebrated when humans left the forum now watched in growing horror as they realized what they had unleashed. The humans weren't just angry about being kicked out. They had used their freedom to become something completely new, something that could make warships disappear with technology that shouldn't exist. Commander Kevin looked at the empty space where his enemies used to be. Send a message to all Draknari forces in this sector. This system is now under human protection. Any ship that enters without permission will be removed. He turned to his crew. Begin construction of the first city. I want it finished ahead of schedule. As the human ships began their work, alien monitoring stations across the galaxy sent urgent messages to their governments. The messages all said the same thing. Humanity had changed. The species that had once asked permission for everything now took what they wanted and removed anyone who got in their way. The galaxy that had wanted the humans gone was about to learn why they had been safer when humans were trying to follow the rules. In the deep of space, more human ships moved toward systems that had been closed to them for centuries. This time they weren't coming to ask permission. They were coming to take what they needed. 2 years had passed since humanity left the forum. Stories came from human space that sounded like impossible dreams or terrible nightmares, depending on who you asked. Captain Nora Williams stood on the bridge of the HSS Vanguard. The ship was so different from old human vessels that alien observers couldn't even figure out how it worked. The hull was black as empty space and seemed to bend light around it. Energy readings came from it that broke every sensor that tried to measure them. Navigation. Set course for the Kepler Nebula, Nora ordered. Time to check on our research projects. The Kepler Nebula had become humanity's private workshop. No alien ship was allowed anywhere near it. The few that tried to sneak close had simply vanished, just like the Draknari warships. Most aliens now believed the rumors about what humans were doing in there, and those rumors were frightening. People talked about star systems being rebuilt from scratch, artificial worlds that were better than natural ones, weapons that could change the basic forces that held the universe together. Some aliens said it was all lies meant to scare them. Others worried that it wasn't nearly as scary as the truth. On Earth, President Laura Anderson stood before the Global Assembly. The room was bigger now, with screens showing dozens of new human colonies that hadn't existed 2 years ago. The planet itself looked different too, with orbital rings and space elevators that reached to the stars. We have learned what we can accomplish when we are not held back by fear, Anderson said. Her voice carried to every human world through quantum communication systems that the forum's scientists said were impossible. For generations, we accepted limits on our growth because we wanted to be good neighbors. We followed rules that kept us small and weak, while others decided what we were allowed to do. But a harmony built on holding people back is not harmony at all. She gestured to the screen showing human expansion across the galaxy. We have not abandoned our commitment to peace. But peace means being strong enough that others must respect you, not being so weak that they can ignore you. The speech went out across all human space and beyond. Alien listening posts recorded every word. In the forum chambers, delegates watched in silent terror as Anderson outlined what humans called their unlimited growth doctrine. The doctrine was simple and scary. Humans would no longer ask permission to expand, explore, or research anything. They would take what they needed and build what they wanted. Anyone who tried to stop them would be removed. Meanwhile, human colony ships arrived at worlds throughout the galaxy. These weren't the careful, negotiated settlements from before. These were systematic colonization operations backed by military forces that made the old human fleet look like children's toys. Commander Kevin Morris looked down at a beautiful blue world that 3 different alien races had claimed but never settled. For 500 years they had argued about who owned it while the planet stayed empty. Begin full terraforming, Kevin ordered. I want this world ready for 2 million colonists within 12 months. His executive officer, Commander Beth Taylor, studied the tactical displays. Sir, we're getting communications from all 3 races that claim this system. They're demanding that we leave immediately. Kevin laughed. It was not a nice sound. Tell them they can file a complaint with the forum. Oh wait, we're not in the forum anymore. The alien fleets came just like Kevin knew they would. 30 ships from the Crystalline Assembly, 20 ships from the Felinian Trade Union, 15 ships from the Aquatic Collective. They came together because they were all scared of facing humans alone. Commander Beth watched the enemy ships approach on her screens. 65 hostile vessels incoming, sir. They're demanding we withdraw or face destruction. Kevin looked at his own fleet. He had 12 ships. By old standards, he was badly outnumbered, but these weren't old standards anymore. Open a channel to all enemy vessels, Kevin said. When the channel opened, Kevin's voice was calm and cold. This system is now claimed by humanity under the right of necessity. You have 10 minutes to withdraw beyond the outer asteroid belt. Any ship remaining after that time will be removed. The alien commander's response came quickly. You are outnumbered 5-1, human. Surrender now or be destroyed. Kevin closed the channel and turned to his weapons officer. Lieutenant Johnson, are the new systems ready? All systems operational, sir. Quantum disruptor arrays charged and locked on targets. Fire when ready. What happened next would be studied by alien military academies for decades. The human ships didn't move or fire visible weapons. There were no explosions or energy beams. The 65 alien warships simply ceased to exist. As if they had never been there at all, the only evidence they had ever existed was a field of strange particles that alien sensors couldn't identify and gravitational echoes that showed where mass used to be. Videos of the battle spread across the galaxy within hours. Species that had once laughed at human military capabilities now watched in horror as they realized how far beyond them humans had evolved. On Station Harmony, an emergency session was called. Every delegate chair was filled for the first time since the humans left. The chamber that had once echoed with confident criticism of human activities now buzzed with terrified whispers. Ambassador Veltar stood before the assembly. Her normally musical voice shook with fear. We must face what we have done. In our desire to control humanity, we have created something far more dangerous than what we feared before. High Counselor Thekmon's crystal body flickered weakly. Our intelligence reports suggest that human technology has advanced by centuries in just 2 years. They possess capabilities that violate the basic laws of physics as we understand them. Elder Perlin of the Cat People spoke quietly. They no longer answer our communications. Our trade networks are failing as human forces establish what they call security zones around their expanding territory. We cannot compete with their industrial capacity or military power. The Aquatic Collective's representative, a being that lived in a water-filled suit, spoke through electronic translators. My people's colony ship has been missing for 3 days. It was last seen approaching a system that humans have claimed. There has been no wreckage found. No distress signals. It simply vanished. Fear filled the chamber like a poisonous gas. For 200 years, the Forum had been the strongest force in the galaxy. Now they were afraid of a single race that they had kicked out of their meetings. Dr. Maya Johnson, now Director of Human Strategic Development, worked in her office overlooking New Geneva's transformed skyline. The city had grown beyond recognition. Towers reached into the clouds and connected by transport tubes that moved faster than sound. The orbital platforms above were visible even in daylight. Project Evolution is proceeding on schedule, she told her AI assistant. The artificial intelligence existed in multiple dimensions and could process information that would take alien supercomputers years to handle. Estimated timeline for galactic integration: 14 months. The AI responded with calculations that filled multiple screens. Recommended approach: continue isolation protocols until species adaptation programs are finalized. Maya nodded and looked at reports from across human space. Every day brought news of new colonies, new technologies, new capabilities that would have seemed impossible just years before. What about resistance from native populations? She asked. Negligible, the AI replied. Most species are avoiding contact entirely. Those that do not comply with relocation requests are processed through standard removal protocols. Maya felt a moment of doubt. Removal protocols sounded clean and simple, but she knew what it really meant. Entire alien populations were being moved away from worlds that humans wanted, whether they agreed or not. Those who refused to move simply disappeared. Are we becoming the monsters they said we were? She asked quietly. The AI paused for 0.003 seconds, which was equivalent to hours of thinking for a normal computer. Define monster, Director. Maya looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Alien races were huddled in their council chambers, afraid of what humans had become. Maybe they were right to be afraid. But then she remembered how those same aliens had treated humanity for decades, always voting against them, always finding new ways to limit human growth, always acting like humans were children who couldn't be trusted with adult responsibilities. Never mind, she told the AI. Continue with current operations. In the depths of space, more human ships moved toward systems that had been forbidden to them for centuries. Behind them came colony ships filled with millions of people ready to build new worlds. And behind those came construction, vessels carrying technology that could reshape entire solar systems. The galaxy that had once tried to cage humanity was about to learn what humans could accomplish when the cage was not just opened, but completely destroyed. The age of asking permission was over. The age of taking what was needed had begun. The first real battle happened when the Draknari Horde decided to make a statement. 30 of their best warships moved to stop human colonization in what used to be the neutral zone. The Draknari had always been the strongest military force in the galaxy after humans. Their ships were built for war and their crews loved to fight. Admiral Krektor commanded the Draknari fleet from his flagship, the Bloodclaw. He was old and experienced, having won battles against every major alien race. He wasn't afraid of humans even with all the scary stories people were telling. Humans got lucky a few times, he told his officers. They surprised some weak patrol ships with new weapons. But we are the Draknari Horde. We have been fighting for 1,000 years. The human colony convoy was small. 3 transport ships, 2 construction vessels, and 5 escort ships. By normal standards, the humans were badly outnumbered. Admiral Krektor smiled his sharp-toothed smile as his fleet moved to attack. All ships prepare for battle, he ordered. Show these humans what happens when they ignore Draknari claims. The battle lasted 17 minutes. When it ended, 30 Draknari warships were gone, not destroyed in explosions or broken into pieces, simply gone, as if they had never existed. The only trace left behind was a field of strange particles that alien scientists couldn't understand and gravitational disturbances that showed something very large. Had been there moments before. Lieutenant Sarah Kim was monitoring communications on the human flagship Determination when the Draknari fleet appeared on sensors. She was young, and this was her first real combat mission. Admiral Martinez, 30 Draknari vessels approaching on attack vector, she reported. Admiral Carlos Martinez looked at the tactical display with calm eyes. He had been fighting in space for 20 years, but these new human ships still amazed him. Signal the convoy to continue colonization operations, he ordered. Weapons, charge the quantum dissolution array. Sir, Lieutenant Kim said nervously. Shouldn't we try to negotiate first? Warn them away. Admiral Martinez looked at her with tired eyes. Lieutenant, 3 years ago I would have agreed with you. I would have opened communications and tried to find a peaceful solution. But I've learned something important since then. He gestured to the approaching alien fleet. They didn't try to negotiate when they kicked us out of the forum. They didn't listen when we presented evidence of our good intentions. They spent decades treating us like criminals and children. The Admiral's voice grew harder. Now they want to stop us from building homes for human families on empty worlds that they've never even visited. They come with 30 warships to threaten 5 escort vessels. Where was their desire for peace then? Lieutenant Kim watched the enemy ships get closer. But sir, shouldn't we at least give them a chance to withdraw? They had their chance, Martinez said. They had 30 years of chances, fire. The human weapons were invisible and silent. No energy beams or missile trails, just a brief distortion in space like heat waves rising from hot pavement. Where 30 Draknari warships had been moments before, there was now empty space. Lieutenant Kim stared at her sensors in shock. Sir, I'm not reading any debris. No life pods. Nothing at all. The quantum dissolution array doesn't leave debris, Martinez explained quietly. It removes matter from this dimension entirely. The Draknari fleet didn't explode. It simply stopped existing. The news of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Every alien race with monitoring stations recorded the impossible event. 30 warships, gone in an instant with no visible weapons fired. On Station Harmony, panic filled the forum chambers. Delegates who had spent years confidently discussing human limitations now spoke in frightened whispers about humanity's impossible evolution. Ambassador Veltar stood before the emergency assembly. Her blue skin had turned almost white with fear. "The tactical recordings are clear," she said. "Human forces have developed weapons that operate outside known physics. They can remove entire fleets from existence without apparent energy expenditure." High Counselor Thekmon's crystal body was so dim, it was almost invisible. "Our military advisors believe that human technology has advanced beyond anything we can understand or counter. They possess capabilities that our scientists say should be theoretically impossible." Elder Perlin of the Cat People spoke with a voice full of despair. "My people's trade convoys are being turned away from systems we have used for centuries. Human ships appear out of nowhere and simply inform us that the space now belongs to them. When we protest, they ignore us." The Felinian representative continued. "Yesterday, a human vessel appeared in orbit around our homeworld. It made no threats and fired no weapons. It simply broadcast a message saying that Felinia was now under human protection and that all military vessels should stand down. Our entire fleet couldn't even detect how it got there. Similar reports came from across the galaxy. Human ships appeared in systems that had been alien territory for millennia. They didn't attack or make threats. They simply announced that the systems now belonged to humanity and that the current inhabitants could either accept human authority or relocate to designated areas. Most aliens chose to relocate," Dr. Maya Johnson reviewed the daily reports in her office above New Geneva. The city had become a gleaming metropolis that stretched from the planet's surface to orbital platforms miles above. Transport systems moved millions of people between the surface and space stations in streams of light. "Integration proceeds ahead of schedule," her AI assistant reported. "Phase 5 implementation shows 93% compliance with relocation protocols. Resistance in the outer sectors has been eliminated." Maya looked at the statistics on her screen. Hundreds of alien colonies had been peacefully relocated to make room for human expansion. The few that had refused were no longer showing up on any sensors. "Define eliminated," she said quietly. "Non-compliant populations have been removed using quantum dissolution protocols," the AI replied. No hostile action was required. Non-compliance resulted in automatic processing. Maya closed her eyes. The language was clean and technical, but she knew what it meant. Entire alien cities had been erased from existence for refusing to move when humans wanted their worlds. "How many?" she asked. "Total non-compliant populations, 4.7 million individuals across 17 worlds." Maya felt sick. Almost 5 million aliens had been deleted from existence because they wouldn't move away from their homes. But then she remembered the decades of humiliation in the forum chambers, the constant restrictions on human growth, the alien smiles when humans were voted down again and again. "Continue operations," she said firmly. "Humanity tried the peaceful way. We tried to share the galaxy and follow everyone else's rules. That time is over." Back in the forum chambers, the reality of their situation was becoming clear to every alien race. Humanity hadn't just left their organization. They had transcended it entirely. They had become something that operated beyond the rules that governed everyone else. Ambassador Veltar made the suggestion that everyone was thinking, but no one wanted to say out loud. "Perhaps we should attempt to contact human leadership, to negotiate some kind of arrangement." The chamber fell silent. After 3 years of pride and stubbornness, the aliens who had kicked humanity out of the forum were ready to beg them to come back. But when they tried to send messages to human space, there were no replies. Earth didn't respond to diplomatic communications. Human colonies ignored trade requests. Human military forces gave orders but didn't accept questions. Elder Perlin spoke the truth that everyone already knew. "They don't need us anymore. For centuries we told them they were too aggressive, too dangerous, too unpredictable to be trusted with real power. So they left us behind and became something far more dangerous than anything we ever feared." He looked around the chamber at all the empty seats where smaller alien races used to sit. Many had already surrendered their independence and accepted human authority. Others had simply vanished when human expansion reached their systems. "We spent so much time trying to cage the humans that we forgot the cage was also protecting us from what they might become without restraint." The galaxy that had once confidently managed human ambitions now watched in terror as humanity reshaped star systems according to their own vision. Worlds that had been sacred to alien races for millennia were strip-mined for resources or completely rebuilt as human. Colonies. Trade routes that had existed for thousands of years were reorganized to serve human needs. Alien ships traveled only where humans allowed them to go. Independent alien governments found themselves under human protection, whether they wanted it or not. And through it all, humanity remained silent. They didn't explain their actions or justify their expansion. They didn't respond to alien protests or diplomatic offers. They simply continued growing and building and taking whatever they needed. The forum that had rejected them now found itself irrelevant, watching helplessly as their former partners built a new galactic order that they could barely understand and could never hope to challenge. In the end, the aliens had gotten exactly what they thought they wanted, a galaxy without human interference in their affairs. The terror came from realizing that what they actually got was a galaxy where humans no longer